Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and happy Thanksgiving to those that celebrate. I'm Jeannie and I picked up some new tips to try because I love trying all different kinds of tips. So I picked up the Makartt nail pump ups, which I got off of Amazon. I'll leave the link below down in the description. So these are in the medium almond, which are my absolute favorite. And I also picked up their nail glue to try with applying the tips. And this is actually a gel, which I learned the hard way. The first thing I'm going to do is size out my tips to fit each of my nails so I have those ready to go. And also, side note, ignore the jar of the 4-in-1 gel in the top right. I thought I was going to use that for this video, but I ended up using the nail glue instead. So I'll save this jar for a different video. But back to the sizing, I just want to make sure the tips are fitting my nails from sidewall to sidewall, that there aren't any gaps. If you're in between sizes, one's too small and one's too large, you always want to make sure you're sizing up, and then you can file down a little bit to fit your nail, because if you go too small, you will experience pop-offs. I will say, luckily for these tips, these Makartt ones, they fit my nails. I didn't have to do any sizing up, so that was definitely a plus of these tips. In hindsight, I wish I would have shown you a comparison, but if you've been around, you know that my ride or die tips are my iGel Beauty Pro Gel tips. They're my absolute favorite. I wear them all the time. So I did actually compare them after the fact to see the difference of my favorites versus these Makartt pump-ups. And I will say they are extremely similar. So the Makartt pump-ups are just a tad wider than the iGel Beauty, but they are super similar as far as width. So when I compare the size zeros against each other, the Makartt is just a tiny bit wider, but not by much. But as far as length and shape, they are the same. So I would say those are the same. And then as far as thickness, the Makartt ones are thinner and a little bit flimsier than the iGel ones. And I don't know if flimsy is even the right word, because I wouldn't call them flimsy to where I wouldn't feel comfortable wearing them by themselves without breakage. They're just thinner. So the iGel Beauties are a little bit sturdier. So I think that's still my preference, but I really do like these Makartt ones as well. I left in my prep so you could see how I prep for my full coverage tips, and I'm starting with my cuticle cleanup. So I've got my iGel Model XS 2.0 efile, and I'm just using my flame bit from Kiara Sky, which I'll leave the links below down in the description as well. So I'm just going around my cuticle line, and I want to make sure I'm removing all of that cuticle. I'm getting any invisible cuticle that's there. And I really love this flame bit because, one, it's gentle, so I don't have to worry about it being on my natural nail, but it kind of goes under my cuticle line as well. So it kind of goes under that skin to get any of that cuticle. And it's very critical for good adhesion of your full cover tips to take the time and do the prep work and remove that invisible cuticle, because it could cause lifting if there's still any left. So I'm just taking my time and going around all my cuticles to make sure I'm removing as much as I can. I don't really do any cuticle prep when I'm doing a mani, whether it's dip powder or gel polish, because I always use peel base and they're going to pop off anyway. But anytime I'm doing full coverage tips or any kind of overlay to my natural nails, extensions, whatever they may be, I always make sure that I'm doing a full cuticle prep. I mean, I probably do some kind of overlay on my natural nails maybe every 1 to 4 weeks, just because I get antsy and I like to change things up and I could never keep things on for too long. I don't know, it's probably a bad habit and I should probably keep them on longer. But sometimes I will do a fill on my full coverage tips, and that requires full prep as well. So just all that to say, make sure you're doing a thorough cuticle prep to make sure that you're getting the most wear out of your overlay or extensions. And if you're not using peel base, I would recommend doing your full prep before doing your mani as well. So, there's always that invisible cuticle that you want to make sure you're removing. So right now I've switched from my flame bit to my cuticle ball bit. This one is from iGel Beauty, and it's my favorite cuticle tool. So once I'm done with my cuticle prep, I'm going to go in with my glass nail file. This is my absolute favorite glass nail file with that little bejeweled skull. So this is from Bonafide Beauty. So I know some people like to remove all of that free edge from their nail. I don't feel the need to, so I actually just file it down a little bit. Like, I don't want my nails too long, but I like to keep some of that length. So I just file them down and clean up the free edge a little bit. I actually don't remove it all. So it's really your preference on what you choose to do. I know some people just thinks it looks cleaner and neater to remove that free edge. But once I've got all that done, I'm going to cleanse my nails. So I'm using my Young Nail Swipe, which you can get off of Amazon or you can get on the Young Nail site. But I will warn, the shipping is expensive on the Young Nails site. So I'm just cleansing my nails, removing all that dust. And this is also a dehydrator. So it's also removing any of those excess oils that are on my nail, which will help with better adhesion as well. The next thing I'm going to do is go in with my gel primer, and my favorite one is from CN Designer Dips, and this formula is actually Hema free, which I love. And your gel primer is kind of like your double-sided tape, so it really helps with adhesion of any gel products that you have on your nails. So it actually leaves a tacky layer. And what I like to do is do 2 full layers of gel primer. So I'll do 1 layer on all my nails, and then by the time I'm done with my last nail, the first layer is dry. And then I'll go in with that second full coat on all my nails again. And then I can go in with my gel base. I know it seems like a lot of steps to do your cuticle prep and then your gel primer and then your gel base, but trust me, these will help with longevity of any of your extensions or overlay. So now that I've got that all done, we are ready to adhere the tips. So I'm going to use my Melody Susie 2-in-1 nail art lamp, which is my absolute favorite for applying tips. I'm telling you, it is a game changer. Just look at how flexible this neck is, but it's not flimsy. It's flexible, but it's not going to just like collapse on you. It'll actually stay where you put it. And then that button there at the top, it's not really a button. It's a touch sensitive. So I flip from just a regular lamp to the UV curing lamp, which is just so convenient and so easy to use. So I'm just taking my first tip and I'm applying some of that nail glue into the tip. Some people just apply it at the cuticle and let it flow down. I actually have flatter nail beds, so I prefer to apply that nail glue to the entire tip. So once I've got that filled in, I'm going to apply the tip starting at my cuticle and then start pressing down towards the free edge. And that'll help with preventing any air bubbles. So I'm just checking, is it straight? How does that look? Because this is the first time using this nail glue. So once I've got that, I'll tap that little button at the top and then give it a flash cure. So 10 to 15 seconds max, and then the tip is set, so you can move on to the next one. When I first got this nail glue, and this is what I get for not paying attention, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but it said nail glue, right? So I decided to test it out with one tip just to see kind of how thick it was, how it held, things like that, just to kind of test it out. And so I applied the glue inside my tip, I attached it to my nail, and I held it down, and I think I held it down for maybe like 30 seconds, and I let go and it didn't adhere. And I was like, man, okay, so this is a slower drying nail glue. So I held it down for another 30 seconds, so a full minute, and it still hadn't dried. I was like, this is the slowest drying nail glue ever. What is it just because it's cold outside? Because glues will dry slower with the cold. So I held it down for a good, no joke, 5 minutes. I was like, okay, 5 minutes has to be enough. And it still didn't dry, and I was beyond frustrated at this point. I was like, why is this glue not drying? What is wrong with it? So I was looking for directions. There weren't any directions. So I went back online on Amazon, because that's where I bought it from. And sure enough, it was like, this nail glue requires a UV lamp for, I was like, oh my God, I am so stupid. I can't believe I didn't pay attention and realize that this was a gel nail glue. So yeah, enjoy a laugh on me for that completely dumb moment. So I'm gonna finish up my nails and then I will be back. Once I've finished all my nails, I'm going to give them a full cure in my big lamp for 60 seconds. I did have a little bit of gel seepage just because there's a learning curve to trying new gels when applying tips. So I'm just going to clean that up a little bit with my efile. So I'm using this bit and I'm cleaning up any of that excess gel. I'm cleaning up around my cuticle area. I also want to make sure my cuticle area is flush with the tip. So I'm also doing that. And then I will buff off the surface of the entire tip. Because I use gel top coat, I find that's what works best for me when I'm using full coverage tips. I want to make sure that I'm buffing off that surface of the shine of the full coverage tip. And then I will apply a layer of gel base, cure that for 30 seconds. And then I will go in with my gel top coat and cure that for a full 60 seconds. And then I'm ready to go with my peel base. Even if you aren't using peel base on top of your full coverage tips, if you're dipping on top of it or using gel polish, I would still recommend buffing off that shine of the full coverage tips just for better adhesion. And then you don't have to apply gel top coat. You can just start your dip or your gel polish right on top. As always, I'm going to finish off my mani rehydrating my cuticles, and today I'm using my Scales of a Mermaid cuticle oil in the scent You Bring Me Home. This is one of the scents from her most recent release, and I don't even know how to describe it besides just saying it's such a pretty scent, if that makes any sense at all. It's just very subtle and just so beautiful. So I would highly recommend this if you're sensitive to scents, because this might work for you and it's just so nice. And here we are, all finished up. So I would say these were really easy to apply. The nail glue was easy to use as well. And you know, the tips are really pretty. I really enjoyed wearing them, and I'm actually still wearing them. So you can see here, I'm just kind of showing you the sturdiness of them. So they are a bit thinner than my iGel tips, but I did wear them by themselves for a couple days and I didn't have any breakages or bending or anything like that. So they did hold up. I've dipped on top of them. They're not too thick, so no issues with that. So I would highly recommend these tips if you're looking for some new tips to try out. They're really great. I find them really affordable as well, and you can get them on Amazon. So the only thing I would say about them is they fit me really well, but if you have wider nail beds, they may not work for you because they are super similar, if not just a little bit bigger than the iGel tips. And I have heard people say that the iGel tips run a little bit small. So they work well for me, but if you have wider nail beds, they may or may not work for you. So I would just throw that out there just in case. But I hope this was helpful. Let me know if there's any other tips out there that I should be trying, because I love trying new ones. I did enjoy these though, and I may actually pick up some more shapes and sizes because they are really great tips. So I hope this was helpful, and if it was, I'd appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this, and it also helps YouTube recommend me to others. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.